honey child, this is gonna be a good story time. How I found out my boyfriend was actually married. This story, I can't make it up. This is literally something out of a movie. So let's just rewind many years back when I met this man named Dustin Flint. And if the last name Flint doesn't ring a bell, I will help you out. Larry Flint, Hustler. So he was the heir of Hustler, and he was actually the nephew of Larry Flint, but he worked, you know, like in Hustlers, like with the family business. So crazy, right? Like when your family business is like porn. So I'm trying to remember how we even met. I'm sure it was at some sort of a party or out in Hollywood at a club, which is, I think it was out in Hollywood at a club. Oh no, I'm sorry. Well, it was out in Hollywood at a club, but it was through a friend of mine who I had met, who had also introduced me to, I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name. I've like so many people that I've signed NDAs, which are non-disclosure agreements, basically saying like I can't talk about anything like our relationships or anything. And I'm trying to remember if I signed one for, I don't think he did. Okay, do you guys know, ooh, I'm spilling some real tea in this one, Charles Schwab, like the bank, his son, Michael, I dated for like a good amount of time, Michael Schwab. So anyway, she actually introduced me to Michael, and we met a certain way, and I'm sure you can guess. And then we started dating, and they always say don't ever date your clients. You really shouldn't, but I met her through him, and then we ended up like breaking up, or was this before? I can't remember. My memory is like it's so hard when it's like a long time ago. So this was either before or after, I can't remember. But I also started dating Dustin, and I met Dustin through her because they actually were both from Oklahoma. It's like their hometown. It's like so random, but I remember they were friends or something. At least that's what I thought. I think my friend at the time, because we became really close, was like an undercover Heidi Fleiss, right? Like she was just like hooking people up with like in the whole escorting ring, and it was really good even to her friends about not really letting us know that she was doing that. But like I didn't find out until like way after the fact that she was like Heidi Fleiss 2.0, you know, and like had all of these like super rich and wealthy people, and I was like friends with her and didn't even know. And when I say friends, I mean like close friends. Like we were flying on private jets together to like go do fun things, you know, like, and I didn't put two and two together that like someone's alarm is going off, that like that's what was happening. I was just like really naive. But anyway, are they gonna like turn the alarm off? Come on, you're ruining my video. Really? Okay, well, I'm gonna wait for that to go away.
One eternity later.
Seriously? Alright, well, I don't have time to like keep waiting because Trav has the kids right now, so I'm just gonna go with it as that alarm is going off in the background. Anyway, started dating Dustin. We were, and I've told this story before, but not in this much detail, and I don't remember if I told it in my book or like in a YouTube video, but basically Dustin and I were on the same page of like he would hook up with girls and like we were okay with it, but like I was his main chick, you know what I mean? Like I was his girlfriend, and we would go party out in LA and like bring home tons of girls, and we would all like sleep together and have these like huge orgies, and that was just like his thing, you know, like he liked to do that, and I was totally okay with it, and you know, everything was fine. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you the amount of like sounds going on I can't control when we're all like in a motorhome. I'm pretty sure a semi truck just like pulled up, someone's alarm's going off. I got like the portable power station like powering like the fan in the background, so sorry guys. But anyway, so yeah, basically like I have been in a relationship with somebody for a while, and this just kind of goes to show that you could be like dating someone or even married to someone, and they could have like a whole nother life that you know nothing about. And I know this because it happened to me, but also I know it's happened to other people before because you hear these stories, you know, like, so, oh man, like I really felt so close to him, like I knew him, like he was becoming not just my boyfriend but my best friend. And I think that's like why it hurt so much, because he was like, oh, we're gonna fly back to my hometown, I want you to meet my family, and I felt really special. And you know, I thought like, wow, like this is like the next step, you know, I'm going to his hometown, gonna meet his family, you know, this is getting serious, you know. And that's like what I thought in my mind. And at the time, I think I was just so blind to like a lot of things that were happening, or just like not thinking that that would be something that would happen, because I was just so excited that like someone wanted to like date me as a porn star, you know, because like when you do porn, it's very hard to find like a healthy relationship, and emphasize on the part healthy relationship, because you do porn and like most people are not like secure in their, you know, self to be okay with that if they're not also in the industry. You know, like you hear like porn stars like marrying, for instance, Kieran Lee and Kirsten Price are married, they have kids, you know, they both do porn, they have like as far as I know, a good relationship. But I've seen porn stars date like producers and directors, and that works. But when you are finding somebody that's like in finance or, you know, like a corporate job, like it's just hard to find a relationship. And so I was just blown away and like so excited that someone wanted to date me, like, you know, because I did porn. And he was so charming and like good looking and witty and just is like the life of the party. And he was just like, it's just like almost too good to be true, right? For me at the time. And I was just like so enamored by him. And then, you know, we get in a private jet, we fly to Oklahoma, I'm getting ready to go meet his family. We stop by the Hustler store out there. He gets me like a bunch of merch and like, you know, fun stuff from the store, brings it to me, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna stop off really quick and say hi. I gotta drop something off really quick and say hi to someone. And I was just like, okay. And we stop by and we drive up this road, this beautiful home, and I'm like, oh, this must be his sister. And his, you know, sister is coming out with her daughter, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how cute. He's stopping off to see his niece, and like the niece comes up and runs up and gives him a big hug, and I'm like, oh, like my heart, I was just like, oh, he's like a family guy, like I can see having kids with him, and like he would be such a good dad. And then I see him like hug the sister and give her a kiss on the cheek, and then he comes back to the car, and I'm just like, oh, that's so sweet, like, is that your niece? And he was like, oh no, that's my daughter. And I was like, what? You have a daughter? I did not know that he had kids. Never once did he tell me he had kids. And I was like, is that your sister? And he was like, no, that's my wife. What? It took me a while to process everything because I was like, what? Like literally that was your wife and your kid, and you have your girlfriend in the car, and how did I not know that you were married and had kids? And you're just now telling me this now? Like, does she know that I'm your girlfriend? Like, I was heartbroken to say the least, but also shocked finding out that my boyfriend was married and had a kid. And I couldn't believe that I found out that way. I don't know what he was thinking, if he thought like I was gonna be okay with it, or try to get in his head and think like, what in the world was he thinking? Because I was not thinking that. And then my friend who like introduced me to him, she was there, you know, because we all flew together. She wasn't in the car with us. She was at her house in Oklahoma. And after all of this, I was like, yeah, like I just like need a minute to like kind of process all of this. Like I did not know this. Like when were you gonna tell me? Like I don't feel comfortable. Like I had to like explain it, but I'm like, I just need time to process. Can you drop me off in her house? And so I go there and I'm like, why in the fuck did you not tell me that he was married and had kids? And she's like, well, I didn't know. Like, she knew and she didn't tell me. And she's like, I wanted you to get to know him first because his situation's really unique and different, and you know, they're kind of like off on. And I'm like, off on, he's still married and he has a kid. Like, this would have been good information to tell me when I'm freaking falling in love with someone, you know? Like, my poor heart is broken. So to say the least, I have serious trust issues with a lot of people, not just guys but also like friends. It's just like they're really hard for me to like trust people and become friends with people. I'm very open because that's just like the type of person I am, but also like I always in the back of my mind am like, oh gosh, like something bad's gonna happen, right? Like, and I really had to like change my mindset after all of this happening to me. And I feel like God really like puts stuff and people and things and situations in your life for a reason. And I know this because looking back at my life now, I'm like, all of these things happened to me for a reason. And that's like one thing that's really hard. And growing up, I was like, I didn't believe in God, and I had a really hard time believing in God because I thought God wouldn't let these horrible things happen to me. You know, like, why would God allow a woman into my life that would at 8 years old slice my wrist with a razor blade and then put me into a mental hospital because she was jealous of me and didn't want me around my dad because my dad would give me attention and not her attention? And how could God let something like that happen? You know, how could God let me be abused? And you understand what I'm saying, right? And then I realized like everything happens, like even the horrible things that happen in this world, like God planned all of it, right? Like he planned for all of this to happen. And I feel like everything's supposed to happen the way that it does for some reason, even if we don't know what it is and even if it's horrible, you know? And I have to just try to tell myself like these things happen for a reason, whether that's for me to tell my story story in hopes to help others, or whatever the case is. Even if I don't know what it is now, I try to just like trust in God and or the universe or your higher power, whatever you believe in, to know that like whatever is going to be will be, and we just have to kind of accept that and make the best out of every situation. And when horrible things happen, I try to take negative and turn it into a positive, and that's just kind of like what I do, you know, and what I've learned to do, because I don't know how else to deal with stuff, right? Like I would just like probably want to kill myself. I didn't do that. I'd be miserable. So anyway, that is kind of the story of how I found out that my boyfriend was married, and that my best friend at the time knew and didn't tell me. And yeah, it's just crazy. So I guess like my going away from this story, and to give a little piece of advice, if you will, to you, would be just allow your heart to be open, but also just know sometimes people lead double lives. And you will find out eventually, and you just have to try to take a negative thing and try to find a way to turn it into a positive thing. For me, that was being able to tell this story time and hopefully entertain you in some way. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sending you all my love and all my positive energy, and I hope to see you in my next video. Mwah.